Hello, warriors. Welcome to the U Movement. I am B. And I wanted to hop on today and talk a little bit about a warning. About something you might experience on your awakening path, because I have experienced this on my awakening path. Didn't expect to, but a lot of what we see and experience in life is not what we expect at all. And what we expect isn't always what we get. So in response to a very interesting client conversation I had today, I thought it was about time I addressed this. And I'm not going to talk from their experience. I'm going to talk from my own. And I'm going to introduce maybe a slightly new concept to you. So as you know, if you have been following me for a large period of time, I've talked a lot about narcissism on my channel, and how I come at that is not exactly the same approach as all the other narcissist experts out there, because I don't consider myself a narcissist expert, maybe more like a narcissist whisperer. Because I've been whispering with them for my whole bloody life. That's where I got my experience from. Raised by a narcissist, married to a questionable individual with very severe narcissistic traits. And in a sea of them through most of my life. So a lot of us know of the grandiose narcissist, and a larger than life personality that is, very overt in their narcissistic ways. And then we also know of the covert narcissist. And that one was harder for me to identify. I have to say, it's amazing how, hindsight is 20/20, as the saying goes. And you can look back and you go, oh my God, how did I not see that? How did I not see that? How? And that's because covert narcissism messes with your mind so bloody much that it is so subtle sometimes, and you get so gaslit that you question your own reality. But what about a spiritual narcissist? Dun, dun, dun. What is that? So I often refer to, by way of narcissist experts, Dr. Romani. I do highly recommend her book. It's Not You is what the book is called. A very good book. Otherwise, she has a YouTube, and she's done countless, thousands of videos and podcasts and everything else. She's very well known. She's trained as a psychologist, and has studied intensively and worked with many people who are recovering from narcissistic abuse, as well as she's actually worked with some narcissists as well. So she would be a leading expert. I am not an expert. I am just well experienced. And that comes from 52 years of experience. Experience I never asked for. Or although maybe I did, because on a soul level, the life experience that I have been granted and given has allowed me to be trained to do this. To sit in front of this camera, to share my truth, to help facilitate healing for other people, because I have managed to escape from these types of energies and heal myself from the devastation that is these energies, in which case now I can help other people escape and heal too, which is my primary goal. So tonight I wanted to talk a little bit and give a warning out there for people on spiritual narcissists. At least that's what I call them. Dr. Romani refers to them as a communal narcissist. So this is somebody who embeds themselves into communities. So I'm focused specifically on the spiritual community, but could be any communities, like where they really look like such a nice person. So nice. They do volunteer work. They're there at church on Sundays early, setting up the tables and this, that, and the other, and really making a scene for themselves. They're the asshole that's out filming homeless people as you hand them $100 with a camera in their face so that, look at me doing this amazing thing for humanity. Pay attention to me as I give this homeless person money. Aren't I amazing? Yeah, no, you're not amazing. How about you give the homeless person a home, okay? With no camera and no pomp and pretense and nonsense, okay? How about that? How about that is a really kind thing to do? But going with a camera in somebody's face just to make yourself look like you're a really super nice person is nasty. So don't do that. In the spiritual community, I have come across a few what I would define as spiritual narcissists. And these individuals, one, want to give themselves an air of self-importance. They're well researched, perhaps, into what it is that they're talking about. For example, I had dealings with somebody that went as far as to call themselves a guru. They actually referred to themselves as a guru. And as an expert in Kundalini. And I was, at the time, studying and searching for as many answers as I could because I was desperate to understand what was happening to me as I was going through an exceptionally difficult spiritual crisis and dark night of the soul. And in those time periods, I was experiencing a lot of things that were cuckoo, like out there, like not normal, like weird, like freaking me out, like terrifying, like fearful, like, oh my God, I've got so much anxiety here. I don't know what's happening. So I was searching high and low for answers, this, that, and the other. And I stumbled across a community of people through Facebook at first, one group. And I'm not going to name them, but this particular one individual was like, oh, everybody was bowing down to him. He was the expert of Kundalini, and he had his own Kundalini when he was very young of age, and he knew all the things you should do or shouldn't do and had certain protocols in place and this and that and the other. So I downloaded all of his protocols and I was reading through them, and some of them made a lot of sense to me, like drink a lot of hydration and eat watermelons because, they are high in water, and try to do certain exercises and get out in sunlight. And a lot of these things, logically made a lot of sense to me. So I thought this guy seemed to know what he was talking about. And then I registered myself for one of his Zoom community chats. And that's where the situation turned all kinds of bizarre. So I listened to him do his spiel, and we did a prayer, and it seemed like a decent enough community. Everything was going fine. And then he opened the floor for people to ask questions. And I was like, well, yes, I have a question. And this, you will remember from my videos about a year and a half ago or 2 years ago, I was like this. Very nervous because the energy was flowing through me. I was having major kriyas. I had all this pain here that I didn't know what it was. I had so much fear, and all these weird things were happening as my spiritual gifts began to come online. After years of being repressed with the usage of antidepressants, alcohol, tobacco, and anything else that I could shove down because I didn't want to be weird. Now I love my weird. I embrace my weird. But then I didn't want to do weird things. I didn't want to channel. I didn't want to talk light language. I was never somebody that was like, yeah, when I get older, I want to do weird things with my hands in front of camera and like talk in light language, talking in tongues, which would have gotten me burned at the stake in some past life, or thrown in a mental institution in another past life, or how about, stoned to death in another past life. I have memories of all these past lives. I don't want to do the weird things. I certainly don't want to close my eyes and go, I am channeling from the no, I didn't want to do any of that. I did not, and I still don't close my eyes. So, Spirit, I had long conversations and said, listen, if you want me to channel, you're going to have to make me do it looking a little less weird, because I'm not going to do that. And so I still struggle with speaking light language on camera. But I'm getting a little bits at a time. I'm getting more comfortable with it because, it is equivalent to talking in tongues. And it took me a long time. It's now been 3.5 years in around, since I've been doing it. And, I do it every single day in my home. I'm constantly talking in light language. Luckily, my soul kids have kind of gotten used to it and don't look at me like I'm weird, which is great. They just kind of ignore it. And then there's all the other gifts and stuff like that were coming online. So I raised my hand in this meeting because I wanted to ask about spiritual gifts because he is, a guru. And I asked the question, so it would appear that I seem to be able to channel, and I'm not quite sure how to go or what I'm supposed to do with it. And he looked at me and started freaking out and getting very aggressive and angry and basically telling me that I was possessed by the devil and that channeling was wrong, and scared me to the point where I was bawling my eyes crying. And I didn't know whether to leave the group or just sit there. I was so confused because this is a spiritual meeting and this person is attacking me. I was completely dumbfounded. So I turned my video camera off, but stayed listening to the meeting because I wanted to see where this was going and confused and see what other people would have to say. And it was enough of a weird scenario that in this, whatever I had done in saying the word channel or just showing up in my light, in my authenticity, in my truth, which does trigger the crap out of other people who are still embedded in their shadow. So not what you would expect from a spiritual guru or leader, by no means. He was triggered. Triggered. And I was like, woo! It was not pretty. It was not pretty at all. And he then would take these Zoom meetings and take the audio recording from them and upload them onto Spotify. So after the meeting was over, and he backtracked a little bit because a few people were calling him out on how he spoke to me and were saying, I don't think that's what she was trying to say. And I don't understand, only a few. Everybody else was kind of stunned in silence as well and didn't want to say anything else to get the wrath at them. And so I went and I listened to the recording that had been uploaded on Spotify, and he had edited out all of my interactions with him completely and utterly. And I mean 20 minutes of this was him yelling at me. It was extensive and it was extreme. So I was rather annoyed, irritated, fearful, scared, confused, a plethora of emotions coming up. And so I began to do a little bit of research on him. I didn't like what I found. Okay, so this is a person that has thousands of followers on Facebook and on his YouTube and on his Spotify and anywhere else that he is. And I managed to find a warning for cult leaders site. And I began to read all of the reports against him, and they were extensive. They ranged from money being extorted, having people come to live with him, and once they were there, they had to pay all of his everything to get the spiritual teachings that he was providing, including a lot of inappropriate sexual demands being made to some of his clients, saying, that since you're having a kundalini, you need to learn to surrender. He was big on the surrender. Surrender to kundalini. You must surrender. Surrender. So he would convince young and vulnerable women. Luckily, I was vulnerable but not young, so I guess that worked in my favor. Not that I would have ever gotten naked on a camera in front of this fuck. But, and he probably knew that. He probably sensed that in me. Because darkness senses light, and I am of the light. And my light irritated his little demons in there. But as I said, he had managed to convince a collection of multiple women to get naked on camera in order to have them surrender to Kundalini. So one, if anybody ever asks you to get naked for any reason other than this is divine partnership and you've known this person for a very long period of time and you're in a very committed relationship with them, tell them to fuck off, is the answer to that particular question. So he's not the only leader that has been called out for this. If you've watched any documentaries on Bikram yoga, that dude was not exactly Bikram yogini, and there's many other gurus or self-proclaimed experts or self-proclaimed people of I can channel from these groupings of peoples in the higher realms and I'll tell you what you need to know. And so I see these people as narcissistic, and it's not just the big ones. You can find spiritual narcissists in all of your communities, every single last one. And I've met those ones too, because, maybe they're hosting a retreat and come to my retreat. It's going to be love and light and everything's going to be beautiful and wonderful. We're going to heal so many things. And then what they do is they get a collection of people that are vulnerable, afraid, wounded, probably have a lot of trauma already, which again places them back in the vulnerable. Probably not strong enough yet to stand in their own personal power and listen to their intuition. They're probably at these places to learn to trust their intuition. And so when they get a niggly feeling that I don't really like how that person talks to me, or I don't really like the feelings and sensations that I get when I'm around these people. Something doesn't sit quite right with me. Something's a little bit off. Yes, be forewarned. Spiritual narcissism is alive and well in the spiritual and health and wellness communities. It is alive and well in practitioners that call themselves holistic or call themselves, biological, call themselves experts, call themselves all kinds of things. Buyer beware. Is the lesson that is learned there. Just because somebody is in the spiritual community does not negate them from being somebody who is on the take, somebody who's trying to make money off of other people. Always follow the money. Somebody who will embed fear in you. Somebody will feed off of you. You will be their supply, and oh, well, it's going to take at least 12 more sessions for us to clear this energetic block that I'm picking up on your heart chakra. Oh, this is too big for one session. I'm going to have to book you in for 12. That's going to cost you $1,500. They'll sit down and write a full report. Yes, I had that experience too as I was racing around this place or that place trying to find a solution for this. As I went into somebody who was supposed to be all, I care about you. And I got a report that was about, I'm going to say 8 pages in length, small print, of all the things that potentially could be wrong with me, ranging from heavy metal detox that would cost me about $250 of these products to solve, and this problem here that would cause me this to solve, and this problem here that would cause this to solve. And the treatment they scammed me on, and I put my hands up again, I was scammed again. Because I was desperately in chronic pain. So in the medical settings, as well as the spiritual settings, you set yourself up to be taken when you're in chronic pain, when you're having a spiritual awakening, when you are showing any signs of needs that you are desperately searching outside of yourself for. And so I was shafted for about $2,000. And yes, because her treatments were the only treatments that were going to work. And if her treatments didn't work, then I was going to have to go to Texas to have surgery. And only Texas, nobody else in the world could handle it, and she's the only one in all of Canada that could take care of this. And I was in the middle of Dark Night of the Soul. I was in the middle of the worst awakening possible. So when I was already in total fear and terror, when she was telling me all this stuff, I believed her. So yes, spiritual narcissism. Please be advised that it is a thing and that it exists. And I don't care if they are an author and have a massive following. I don't care if they have millions of dollars. I don't care if they have multiple letters after their names or anything else. Those things do not mean that they have your best interest in heart. Those things, in fact, by their very nature, imply that they have their best interest at heart of, look, what I'm willing to do to obtain what I need to obtain so that I get into a position of power so that I can take as much as I can. We are moving into the new age, okay? We cannot move into the new age still behaving as we did in the old age. And the old age was about how much money I can squeeze out of everybody. So yeah, there are some pretty decent people out there that appear to be offering incredible services. Then go look at the price tag attached to that and then ask yourself, is this actually what I need, or can I find what I need in alternative ways at a more reasonable price point that's not out to gouge me or not out to put me into an environment where energetically I can be siphoned off, I can be picked at, I can be attacked, I can be told that I'm not doing enough, I can be told that I'm doing it wrong, that I'm going to fail if I don't do this, and if I don't do that, then I'm going to miss the ascension, or I'm going to not clear the trauma. And, if somebody is making you feel any which way like a piece of crap, that's not spiritual. That is not spiritual. Spiritual is love, compassion, kindness, understanding, awareness, patience, honorability. That is spiritual. Okay? So if you don't get that vibe from that person, regardless of who they are or how high up they are, then question their motives and question whether you are actually safe. Safety is paramount. Your safety on your awakening is even more paramount because you're even more vulnerable when you are in a state of fear, anxiety, or pain. So that's the first thing that I wanted to kind of give a forewarning of. I also want to give a warning on spiritual ego that could be associated with spiritual narcissism, which can be very dangerous. But spiritual ego, little less dangerous, one step down, is a shelf that all of us get stuck on for a period of time, including myself. So I've gone through many awakenings in my life. Am I awakened? No, I am not. If I was saying that I am awakened, ED, that is spiritual ego. Nobody is awakened except maybe the Dalai Lama and a few Chinese monks that live in the mountains somewhere in a cave. Okay? So unless you are levitating, do not tell me that you are awakened. We're not awakened. We are awakening. It's a verb. It's a continual process. It continues. So ego says, I went to a couple retreats and I had a kundalini and now I am awakened. I am done. No. Spiritual ego says, positive vibes only. No. It is not positive vibes only, because then you are not awakened. You are still very much asleep on the shelf known as spiritual ego, because awakening, the next set of stairs that you need to walk up to get out of spiritual ego, the shelf that is spiritual ego that you walk around on for a while and say, I know things about the world. I'm much more aware. I don't trust the government anymore. I've read a book or two and gone to a retreat, and maybe I've done ayahuasca. Great for you. I'm happy that you're wearing flowy skirts and dancing to, like, I don't know, drum music and smoking noni or whatever, or snorting whatever up your nose. That doesn't mean you're awakened. It means you've associated your egoic identity to spirituality, and you're spinning around in this place that you believe that love and light and only love and light and nothing dark can ever possibly come in, because otherwise, I'm going to manifest my reality and da-da-da-da-da. If you're stuck in the belief that you're manifesting your reality in a constant state, and you're not understanding that a spiritual awakening is about learning to surrender to spirit, which means that spirit is actually manifesting your reality in your highest and greatest good, and you're surrendering to it. I surrender to be in alignment with my highest and greatest good. That doesn't mean I surrender to being in my highest and greatest good. Now, please give me my house, and please, I want a boat, and please this. No, your highest and greatest good. Surrender. Unknown. Can't see. What God has in store for you, what the Spirit has in store for you, that's the next level up. So spiritual ego is great. You've raised yourself up out of, and you've awakened into one foyer. Okay? You've come in off the street. Yay, look, I'm in the foyer. I'm walking around the foyer. I'm doing all kinds of spiritual things. I'm wearing crystals, and I'm positive vibes only, and yeah. Then you realize, oh my God, I'm in a high-rise building and I'm only in the fucking foyer. You're in the foyer, okay? To get up out of the foyer, you have to realize all vibes matter, not just positive ones. You have to realize and let go of manifestation as something that you are in control of, okay? You do not manifest a spiritual awakening. You do not manifest dark night of the soul. You do not manifest the void. You surrender. You surrender to your spiritual awakening. It's out of your hands and out of your control. You surrender to dark night of the soul, which means surrendering to ego death. Nobody manifests ego death. Nobody says, I really feel like having some ego death this weekend. I feel like crawling into a ball and feeling like my life is over and wanting to die, and having completely lost any awareness of who I even am anymore. Who am I? What am I? Why are all these painful memories coming up? Why is all this surfacing? Nobody manifests that. Nobody asks for that. That is not low vibes, okay? So if you are not okay because you are in the process of leveling up out of the foyer, and somebody in the foyer starts yelling at you saying, Stop having such negative vibes. You're bringing the collective down. You turn and you look at them and you go, okay, have fun down there on the foyer. I'm all the way halfway up this flight of stairs because I'm having authenticity vibes. And authenticity vibes are, I'm having crying vibes. I'm having anxiety vibes. I'm having fearful vibes. I'm having panic vibes. I'm having, I think I want to die vibes. That's the staircase as we clear out all of the bullshit that we still were wearing as we were on the ego floor of the foyer. Okay? And then we work our way up, vibrationally, frequency, working our way up as we cry, as we purge, as we shout, as we scream, as we experience sacred rage. And how about sacred hatred? I hate what they did to me. Good. Let it come up. Let it come out. Let it be expressed. Let it be released. Let it be transmuted. So that's what we do on the staircase. Is each stair, we have to release something a little bit more. And then we release something a little bit more. And then we release something a little bit more until we get to the next landing. And you know what happens at the next landing? Nothing. We're still at the next landing. It's a high rise. We're awakening. It's not over. There's still more lessons to learn. And those lessons may feel different. Maybe the next lesson is learning through experiences that you never thought you'd ever have before. And so now you're dealt with a whole new set of cards, a whole new set of rules, and divine partnership shows up for you. And you're like, oh my God, this is so triggering. This is so uncomfortable. I don't know how to have a normal, healthy relationship. I'm only ever known to have toxic ones. And so you level up and you level up with each argument, with each negotiation, with each discussion, you level up. And then maybe you're on another landing and you're like, oh my God, I'm on the new financial abundance landing. Never been here before. I've only know what, lack consciousness was. And so now I'm experiencing money flow. I don't know how to deal with this. Oh my God, panic. What if I didn't read the small print? What if I I'm going to lose it? And so then we go up a staircase with one trigger at a time, and then we're at another landing. And then all of a sudden you get your dream job. And you're like, holy shit. I never thought I'd be the boss of my own company. I don't know how to be a boss. How do I talk to people? How do I be boss-like without being bitch-like? How do I schedule? How do I do payroll? And then we go up each one as we're triggered and we're triggered and we're triggered some more. And then we go and we have a holiday around the world. And it's like the dream trip of all of your life. You're on a cruise ship through the Panama Canal. And you're like, I've wanted to do this forever. Why am I not enjoying myself? Why am I not having fun? Why is this triggering me? I should be having fun. Because we're leveling up. Do you see what I'm saying? This is the ascension. It's a constant process. Until we're not here anymore, we are awakening. So if we think that we've awakened, we haven't. That's ego. If we think that we've made it, we haven't. That's ego. If we think that it's over, it's not. It's just beginning. The next level is just beginning. So be careful, because ego doesn't die, even though it does over and over and over again. It gets reborn with you over and over and over again. The ego is never completely collapsed, that it's out of commission. It's like a wild horse. And at first that ego is just running wild here, there, and everywhere. And it's going to do its own thing. And over time, spirit tames that horse and says, okay, now you are being ridden, ego, and we're going to ride the ego where we need to get. And spirit's in charge, not ego anymore. And then ego becomes docile, and ego becomes, it's still functioning. It still serves a purpose. It still helps you get from A to B, but it doesn't control the show anymore. The ego isn't riding you. That would be awkward and uncomfortable. You are riding ego, okay? So let's be aware, because being aware means we're halfway there. Okay, we're going to be aware of who we seek outside of ourselves as experts, because they themselves might be in their own spiritual ego, or even worse, in their own spiritual narcissism. So how do we counter that if we come face to face with it? We feel it. If it feels off, it's off. Trust your intuition. Leave and block and take care of yourself. If it feels at all like if things are being said to you that make you feel smaller, that make you feel devalued, that make you feel uncomfortable, or things are being asked for you to do, anything involving nakedness, unless it's a massage therapist and they have very strict ethical rules of, here, I'm holding a towel over you while you roll over. There's very few professions out there that require you to get into absolute nakedness, and certainly not Reiki. Okay. And I have heard of Reiki people being disbarred from associations because they were saying things like, this is a particularly difficult area for me to reach. I'm going to have to require an internal. There is no internal Reiki. Okay? Been a Reiki master for over 20 years. There is no internal Reiki. So that is crossing an ethical boundary for sure. Beyond that, if they're asking buckets of money from you to teach you something that you can do at home, like meditate, be a little bit cautious and a little bit suspicious. Not everybody is out for your highest and greatest good. In fact, very few people are. Very few. You. You are responsible for your highest and greatest good. You are your protection agency. You have the intuitive power and prowess to be able to see and discern what is right for you, because you are your guru. You are your medical expert. We're not going to allow medical experts to gaslight us or anyone else for that matter. I just did some writing the other day on medical gaslighting. So you get to choose and stand up for you. Be your own advocate. If you don't like an answer by somebody who is giving you a professional opinion, find a second opinion, find a third opinion, find a fourth opinion. I went to 6 dentists and an endodontist and a periodontist, which means 8 dental practitioners. The 8th was the first one to listen to me. 8th. So don't settle. Don't settle and get disgruntled and get angry. Go to the next and go to the next. You are in charge of you, and that's all that matters. And if it doesn't matter if they're medical, if they're spiritual, if they're alternative, if they're holistic, if they're allopathic, if they're whatever, does not matter. You are the expert of you. Be your own guru. I don't want to be your guru. I want to be your guide and help facilitate you stepping into the power to be your own guru, to give you the tools, the validation if you need it, and anything else I can provide so that you can be empowered enough to say, I can make the best decisions for me. I can listen to other people, but at the end of the day, I'm going to choose what's right for me. This medicine is not right for me. It doesn't sit well with me. I don't think I'm going to take it. Had I listened to doctor number 2, I would be taking serious anti-seizure medicines for a condition I don't have. If I had listened to doctor number 3, I would have had surgery that would have cut off all feeling in the right side of my face for a condition I don't have. So don't listen to other people and negate your personal power because you think that authority has a greater authority over you. If you have any questions about spiritual narcissism or spiritual ego, and you think you've faced either of these energies, feel free to drop a comment below and share your story if you don't mind doing so that other people can feel a little bit less alone and a little bit less foolish, because you're not foolish if you've been trusting from a place of being vulnerable. That's not foolish. Somebody took advantage of you. Somebody took advantage of me. And there's a lot of ego out there that says, I think I know what it is, so I'm just going to give you an answer, and it doesn't matter what you think. So it does matter what you think. 100% matters. If you have been taken in any way, shape, or form, this is your opportunity to come back to self and become empowered and love the fuck out of yourself even more. If you would like to book a one-on-one with me to discuss some of these situations that you may have experienced, and you would like somebody to just validate that what happened to you was wrong, feel free to book with me, because at this stage, as I said, I am a narcissist whisperer. I have done many videos on all of the tools and the techniques and the communication that they use to fuck with your mind. That would be found in the narcissistic playlist. Please check those videos out if you need help identifying, because it is the hardest thing in the world to put your thumb on narcissistic abuse. It is the hardest thing, because it's so shifty and it's like gas. That's gaslighting. It is kind of like trying to grab hold of smoke. Why, when I talk to this person, do I always feel like this? I used to have a friend that would be like, can you please read these text messages and tell me what you see there? And I'd be like, yes, let me get my red pen. Dismissive, passive-aggressive, devaluing, and that's how I would go about looking at it. So if you need somebody to take a red pen to some of your experiences, I'm your gal. That all said, thank you, and thank you for all of the love, the support, the comments. I love and adore all of your comments. I really, really do. The validation I get back from you guys is incredible. Thank you for the supers, for the donations, for the bookings, for everything. I love you, and thank you for doing the work. Peace out.